Good evening and welcome to Edessa the Dark Crusade. Tonight, we find ourselves at the city gates of the small township, the small village, not too far from Edessa, but a couple of hours from Edessa, named Timoran. A person that is not, should we say, native to this city, is walking up to the city gates. And maybe this person is a little unsure of the situation. It's clear that this place it seems less, there's less traffic. There's not too many people coming to this place, but it would seem as though guard presence here is quite a lot of it. And but this is the place. This is the place you have been told to visit, told to come to by your new best friend? Maybe? Maybe benefactor? Maybe it's hard to tell, but yeah. Your new something, at least. But for the few, like there's maybe one cart with people trying to get in, they just get shown off. But as you approach, there will be, like, among the guards just looking, there will be a fairly tall woman. She seems a little bit lanky, like tall, but she seems a little bit, yeah, I suppose you could say off-portioned. You can roll me a perception, empathy. Maybe you want me to roll that?
Yeah, it's 4 dice.
Or perception alertness, rather. Yeah. You can see, like, she's probably someone who worked in farming, or like a commoner of some kind, physical labor or something, like, or maybe it's just like a product of her birth. She seems quite a little too big compared to a normal woman. Just a little bit taller, a little bit more. Maybe it's her shoulders. There is something like a bit off about her, but it's not like. No, it is not. She's nowhere as muscular, and she's like, you see, as she comes over to you, and the gates will actually open, and she will just gesture you closer. You will notice, because you have 2 successes, you'll notice a couple of scars just at the line of her dress. She's wearing a fairly, like, you've seen Madeline in kind of the same clothing. You can see scars on her, definitely. But
Thorvald's dressed as best as he can. He's wearing that sort of black silk shirt, and he's tied his hair up with a faint smell of perfumed oil about him. And he's got his beard has been oiled, and there's a little small gold bead in the tip. And he inclines his head to her.
And she nods, and she will just say, good evening. Please, come with me. And the guards just let the 2 of you pass. There is no fuss, no nothing. They just, like, give you space and just let you enter. And you begin to move. Like you can see the it is a smallish town, but it seems a lot more quiet, a lot more at peace than Edessa for obvious reasons. Because it's quite clear that the plague is not here. That like all of those tell signs of like there are people in the streets at night. Not as many as there might normally be, but there is actual activity. People are not scared shitless and staying home as much as they otherwise would. But you make it to a what looks like a merchant's house, a merchant's building. You'd guess that this is probably a place where they store merchandise, probably. But she opens the door and you get in. You see a person. Well, you actually see two people. Uh, Fairly like they're both bald. They look as though they're monks, where they're dressed as monks, but they just nod to you as you enter, and she will. The woman will just say, "Please," and she will just show you into a room where there is a fairly tight staircase. It's you're gonna have to squeeze in a little bit and probably duck. It's not going to be the most comfortable descent because it is sort of built into the wall, but it's small, and if you didn't know better, you'd probably think that this place might be able to be hidden quite well.
As he ducks and sort of scrunches to get down the staircase, the servant or the commoner will notice he clasps something at his overcoat pocket to seem to protect it as he goes through.
You go down quite a bit down, and the woman will just say, "Please follow the." There is just you can see that there is no lights down here, but she will just say, "I will leave the two of you to it." But the mistress said that you wouldn't have any trouble finding your way. But I will take my leave. And she bows to you and gets up the stairs.
Even though
And
Thorvald
there
doesn't really have trouble because, at worst he's got animalism, so or protein even, so he can see in the dark.
But there is no lights down here. So you would probably have to.
Yeah, I don't think you have to spend blood to use protein 1.
Well, I don't think so either. But yeah, you can activate it. This is built in probably the same material as the walls of the building. This does not seem to be something built on the side. This seems to be quite the same. But there is a fairly heavy door in front of you.
He'll open the door carefully.
You open it, and there is another. There's another door. A bit weird, but there's another door. Not like it looks just the same, but yeah, it's just there, and it's as you open the next one, you will be looking into a fairly spacious room, given that for a cellar, for a place underground, this is quite spacious. And you can see in the room that there are several, which you would identify as torture devices of sorts. There is a bench, a stretching bench where you can lay someone in and just start stretching them. There is like a place on the wall where you can strap someone up. There is instruments. There is quite a few things here. But you will see Madeline sitting at a table and reading. But she is reading in the complete dark because there is no lights down here.
First of all, I mean, other than the door opening and closing, which I presume will make some noise, um, Thorvald, as probably Madeline's become used to, is very accustomed to walking without making any sound. So it's probably not the footsteps that she hears, but more his eyes lighting up the darkness.
Hmm. And
Two sort of yellow, wolf-like eyes piercing the black.
hmm.
And then
Madeline smiles when she
as they
sees
get
the.
as they get closer to her, uh, they lower, and you could surmise that he's gone into a kneeling position.
Madeline will light a candle away from her, but she will light a couple of small candles, and she will just say, "Please, please, there is no here. There is no reason for you to kneel. Please stand."
He stands. If
Part
it
of
is,
this. Oh, go ahead.
if he says quietly, if it is possible, you're even more beautiful by candlelight.
Mm. Well, I will have to take your word for it, but I trust your word.
He reaches into his pocket and takes out a scroll and places it on the desk in front of her.
For me?
He nods.
Something to read afterwards? Or now? I wonder.
At your leisure. You notice that you recognise the seal on it from the crest that you saw the previous night at Gaia's house.
Hmm. Madeline just looks at it, quite curious. And she
It,
just,
it makes a little jingling sound as he sets it down.
well, I know it is bad manners to open it in front of you, but I must confess I am quite curious. And she will just stand there, probably fiddle a little with it with one of her, couple of her fingers, and
Please.
she will open it.
Um, it is not quite a bill of sale, but it is a document which names Thorwald in your service.
Hmm.
It's essentially his permission slip or uh his slave charter.
Hmm.
Um, Also, there's a a piece of jewelry. It's made to look like the flowers on it look very realistic. They're black lotus, often quite soft at the touch and connected by silver chains, and a small key attached to the band of chains.
Hmm. And what does this open, I wonder? She looks at it, and she will. Is it a necklace or
It's a bracelet
it's a bracelet? Okay. Like you
or an
can see
anklet.
that you can see that tonight she's wearing couple of bracelets that look quite old in making. They don't seem really to match anything you normally see. Um, for whatever reason, but she will remove one of them and put on this bracelet, and just oh, that's quite fitting. Thank you.
I chose the chain. I figured you might prefer it to something more rustic in nature.
Hmm. She she just puts her hands out as to show off the room. I can be both quite delicate and quite rustic, depending on the situation. But I thank you so very much. How did you come of this? I suppose the Black Lotuses is for me.
He nods.
You're so thoughtful. Mm. I hope that thoughtfulness and your will to defend and serve will not come in the way of lessons that you must learn me and that I must learn you.
He walks around the desk, so he's a little bit closer to her. And he lowers the some of the silk cloth around his neck, and you see that there's a reasonably thick band around his neck with a very small lock at the back. It's similar to slave collars you might have seen, but it looks more ornate. Looks better made and slightly more comfortable.
Mm. She will smile. She actually looks a bit sad. Mm.
It is. I've worn one of these for as long as I can remember. It is your wish now whether I remain with it or not. You hold the key.
And Madeline will almost immediately go to the back of him and unlock it. She will take the brace or the collar or whatever you want to call it. She will just look at it, walk in front of him, and just say, "This is one of the ways I hope to help you, to free you, both your mind and body, of servitude, to empower you, but one step at a time."
He touches at his neck slightly as it's removed. The sensation of not having it there is a little bit alien to him.
Get used to it.
I went to see Johanna last night.
Oh?
My usual. She hadn't been observing her usual routine.
Well, she has quite a lot to think of these nights.
So I tracked her down.
Hmm.
She was tending the sick in her monastery.
Well, she is very devout, and
She
it's
is. She also compared me to a seed.
I hope that means that she has been listening to me. Well, she has, because that is what I told her.
He smiles.
Seeds sounds weird or sounds strange, but think of it. If tended well, if harnessed by nature, not only in good times but in bad, a seed can grow into a mighty oak that stands for hundreds of years. And with us, it might grow into something that will last forever.
He doesn't say anything. He gives her a kind of under the brow look. And so we shall spend our evening in this chamber.
Perhaps this chamber, perhaps other places. Who knows?
You have your reasons for bringing me here.
I do. Madeline just smiles at him, and she will begin to undress, and she will keep the necklace on, actually, or the bracelet, as the probably the only thing she'll have on, and she will just no reason for you to do this. I wish for the first lesson for you to show me that you are willing
Willing?
to teach me in the only way that you can really teach me. And she will go over and she will the wall where you can like there are restraints.
Yeah.
She will just say, "Please secure me tightly, my hands and legs."
He will walk up behind her and firmly secure her to the wall. Not so sure that these chains will hold, having tasted her strength.
Not only do I hope to be taught fortitude from you, but I always also wish to taste the years and years strength that you have underwent the lashings. I want you to think of all of those lashings. And now know that I am at your mercy.
If it was possible, he doesn't breathe, but there is a sort of sound that resembles a heavy breath.
You can use any tool at your disposal. She nods over to the table.
He moves over to the table and he'll take off the silk shirt because he anticipates spatterings. Again, as he picks up a whip, he touches the place where his collar was around his neck. And then walks back behind her. You must use the will that you have not to be broken. The only way I can describe the sensation is having flesh of steel. Over time, the pain must be embraced.
Please show me.
Is her hair still up or is it down?
It's down.
Okay. He walks up behind her and he'll brush her hair away from her shoulders. And then he'll take a few steps back. And begin by bringing the whip down as firmly as he can. It takes him. This is not a weapon that he's trained in. So it will take him a few swipes to really get the impact that it needs to have. The cuts are small, purposefully small, and with each try, he tries to make more of them, making a pattern. Through this process, he's silent.
You can probably tell that there's a bit of anticipation. But Madeline seems quite relaxed. Like even with some kindred or canites will like you can tell that they're like unnerved or something. Either she's hiding it very well or she seems quite relaxed given the situation.
Seems like she trusts him, which is a funny situation to be in.
That could be one. Yeah, that could definitely be one way to look at it.
There's a few more of those breathing like sounds that come as the force that he puts behind the blows increases.
There is a couple of screams. There are reactions to the blows, but Madeline, for what she said, she doesn't say anything. She may like say, like a few times, she may say, "I understand. Please go on." That is that is what she says, something to that effect. And she seems quite. That is a willpower roll, by the way, and she's doing very well at that. Um, she does not seem to like even with the power you're doing, and even with a canine, you would expect at some point, like this will take time, and you would expect at some point that they might begin to either react to it or begin to scream a bit more. But she's fairly calm.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of the time, we're going to be taking lethals in damage.
Yeah,
It is going to hurt.
and she seems to be quite okay with that. Um, there isn't really a hint of anything frenzy-like. She seems to be quite well in control.
He will continue for quite a significant time. I mean, with a human, 40 lashes, 100 lashes could kill you. But with a canine, you know that the flesh will repair. And after these hours have passed, you hear the whip sort of trickle along the floor as he drops it. He may need a willpower test of his own, actually. You roll me willpower. You roll me 5 dice.
Right. One moment. And this is to what? Sorry?
Just roll it.
Okay. It
No,
depends
it's not a
very much
frenzy
on
roll.
what happens. You have 2 successes. Depending on, yeah, 2.
he drops the whip and he will walk up sort of very, very close to her. So he sort of pushes his body against hers as he's undoing the things that fasten her.
Hmm. Let's say that she has some quite significant damage, um, like two lethal to her back, essentially. As you untie her, she seems a bit stiff, as she just tries to relax a bit and just looks at you. Thank you. You have
He's
shown you have shown that you are willing. I am quite happy for that.
he doesn't quite he doesn't quite nuzzle her as such, but he does sort of incline his face slightly into her hair before he takes a step back.
She will walk up to him, and she will just grab his head down to her because he is fairly tall, and she will just bring his head down, and she will kiss him. Um, but it's not that sensual. It's more like it's a short kiss, just as she just pulls your head a little bit more in and kind of puts it on her shoulder as she just caresses the top of his head. More than a lifetime of this changey person. I wish to help you. I wish to empower you. This will not be an easy task. This will not be an easy road for either of us. But I hope you are willing to take it with me.
I wish to stay with you as long as I am able to.
Very well. And yeah, she just holds you for a moment or two, and she will just after that she will just go over. Um, she will just look at him and just. I am assuming that your mistress never gave you any education into reading or writing.
I can read and write, which is I'm educated for a slave, but not as educated as most men.
Franken, Arabic,
Yeah,
Latin.
yes. A little of each, enough to pass, enough to conversate. But
Well,
my reading skills are they're a starting point.
well, then that is where we will start. Unless, of course, you have anything you would ask of me, anything you would want to talk about. You have earned a question or a couple.
When my sire taught me this power that I'm teaching you, she said it came in 3 stages. The leather, he looks at the whip, the steel, and the fire. The fire will be your biggest test, as the fire is a great source of fear for all of us.
Quite so. But fear is
And I
our
had the
greatest enemy, is it not?
I had the benefit of many, many years' experience with it. He sort of turns over his arm where there's a brand. It looks like for fun someone's branded him with a cattle prod at some point.
She grabs it, just looks at it for a moment, caresses it with her finger. So much to learn from you. I am truly fortunate. I had a different level of suffering inflicted upon me in my mortal days, in different kinds, but I do not believe that I learned as much as you did in both your life and unlife.
Why did you choose me?
She smiles at you. Well, you see the noble lords, you see the great knights, the caliphs, all of these people, noble of birth. Some of them are truly ruthless, some of them very wise, very strong, but just as many of them are weak. They are prideful, they are unworthy to their station. What I have seen of you is the same I see. It's the same thing I see in the sickly, the beggars, those closest to death. Sometimes all of these people have one thing in common. They have had to endure much more than these noble lords have. They suffer in their own way, I am certain, but they do not heed the lessons. You, the beggars, and others might not have heeded the lessons as well, but I do believe that the more you have learned already, the more fruitful what you can teach me is. And she just looks up at him. He is shirtless at this point, right?
Yeah.
For all of these, and she points and just touches some of the, wounds. All of these, each one of these tells a story. Each one of these is a lesson. I saw the many lessons on your body and probably in your mind. I knew that I had to share in them. That is why I chose you. And you are tall. You are handsome. That is always a nice bonus.
He chuckles. It seems to that comment seems to strip away his deep pensive look. Very well. I fear from you I may learn the hardest lesson I've come across so far.
Oh, what is that?
He lowers his gaze.
An index finger will be just touching his chin and it will slowly lift up your face. But she seems very coy and smiles very coyly at you as she seems to be waiting for an answer.
how to transcend beyond the creature I've become to the man perhaps I was supposed to be.
Quite so. That I will make a priority, I can assure you. And Madeline to goes over to the table and just there is more than one chair, um, and she just um, pulls up a chair and just nudges you to sit down. And she seems to be prepared because she picks up a couple of books. One is written in Greek. By the cover, you can see it. There's one you can't really see, and there's also what seems to be parchment paper, parchment, but there doesn't seem to be written anything on it.
He sits down and looks over the books.
Hmm. I have quite a few different versions of books.
We
We
can.
will start if you are willing to teach. I know this place may not be the place you expected to train yourself in reading, but oh well.
May I make a request before we start?
Of course.
He looks at her and he says, "Will you redress? I fear the lesson will not finish if you don't."
Well, I did just wash this one. You will notice as she goes over to take up her dress, her wounds have not healed. And she just, oh well, I have more than this one. I will have to wash earlier then. That is no problem. And she redresses. But you're quite sure that she still hasn't healed when she puts on the clothing. She still hasn't healed her wounds.
Why do you not heal?
As there is a lesson in every denial, rejection of pain is not something that one should practice or engage in.
I think I'll be the perfect student for you then.
I know.
He will
And
lower his eyes back to the books and begin to study.
yeah, and this very weird, well, let's just say the classroom is different from pretty much any other classroom you would come across, even in our day. But yes, Madeline seems, as far as teachers go, like this will take some time. You could swear that she's probably done this before. Like she seems to just give pointers, but doesn't take over that, not really that much. And she seems to know what, like some pointers, and it's quite clear that she's pretty good at reading. Like she's, I mean, there are a lot of women that aren't, but she's definitely one. Um, but yeah, it will take hours, and she's also quite effective. Like she will just correct your maybe pronunciations or like where you put the pressure and on the words and stuff. Like there's like fairly detailed well corrections of your reading. But after a while, she will just say, "Hmm, It is fortunate that you are not a complete new beginner. You are better than I had feared.
Thank you.
Now, when it comes to etiquette, you seem quite versed, but versed in the way of keeping your head down and not speaking up. That is something we will have to. It is a longer process, but we will come back to that. Hmm. She gets up and just will you do you want a change of scenery?
He nods.
Please come with me. And the two will leave. You will see that Madeline will take a couple of things with her. One is a bunch of keys. You can see that she locks both of the doors you entered through. And when you get up, she will close off. There is this cover that more or less completely hides the small staircase that you went down. Um, and yeah, she will just go out in the street and she will just say, hmm, "You have not seen the casa, so I do believe I will show you." And yeah, the two of you will walk up to the castle, and there is a lot of guards, but they all just step aside and just let you walk right on through. There's no question. And yeah, uh, it's a fortification. That's clear. And Madeline leads you through, like shows you a couple of the bigger rooms, and then she will just walk into the garden. There's a quite large garden attached to this place. Hmm. My lord gifted this to me. Hmm. It is where I like to spend most of my free time.
And where is it that we will reside?
Hmm. I have a room or two. I have a room for you if you wish. I'm under the understanding that your clan has a tendency to be able to sleep outside.
It's never been my preference.
Why?
I would like to be close in case there is risk.
Hmm.
As close as you would permit.
She comes over to him and just says, "Oh, I will hold you to that."
He smiles.
And yes, at that she will show him. She will probably go up to her quarters. There are many rooms here, but one of them is fairly lavishly set, and she will just say, "Oh well." She goes in and closes the door, locks it, and just points over to the bed and just says, "Well, if you lie right there, I do believe you will be quite close."
He, you've seen him smile a few times, um, but this time there's a real big sort of grin that spreads into his eyes,
Mm.
and also a sense of wonder because he he has slept in a bed before, um, on the rare occasion that his former mistress was permitting, but it is somewhat of a novelty to him.
Mm.
He seems to take a moment to sort of take in the room. It's quite the world away from the dungeon that he normally sleeps in.
And Madeline will just make sure that he's well, he'll probably take a moment to just get over the thing, and Madeline will get into bed with him. And as she just gets next to him, she will just say, "Close enough."
Almost.
Hmm. And she smiles, and as the scene ends, the two will embrace, I think.
Something like that.
And thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.